Imagine for a second you're your 14-year-old self picking up your first bag of creatine. Come on now. But your mum is still calling it a steroid. So let's break down all the myths of creatine in this video. See, you're buying the wrong supplements, thinking that maybe you should jump on peptides instead of taking the basics that are gonna skyrocket your training and physique to the next level. What you're doing right now is stepping over pounds to pick up pennies. And this is why creatine is so useful for you. If you lift, run, jump, or any sort of explosive contact sport, you should be taking creatine because it is the most studied supplement there is and the safest. Yet people are still worried about taking it. So stick with me here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. I'm gonna cover everything you need to know about taking the best supplement there is. I'll explain every question you may have ever had about creatine, the mistakes that most men do when it comes to taking it, why it's so beneficial and how it exactly works, so you are fully clued up and know that you should be taking it. So common questions. Does creatine lead to water retention? Ultimately, a little bit. What it does is increases the amount of intracellular water, so within the cells. And this is by a process of osmosis. Yes, you may look a little bit puffier, but if you're pairing that with a calorie deficit whilst you're trying to lose body weight, it's not gonna have any impact at all. Is creatine an anabolic steroid? No, it's a naturally formed compound that when you ingest, you bump up the levels of phosphocreatine in your body to help stimulate energy. It's one of the primary sources of energy that is used within your body. Does creatine cause kidney disease or renal dysfunction? No, it does not unless you already have an issue with your renal system. If you do, please go and consult a GP or a doctor before you start taking creatine. Does creatine cause hair loss or baldness? No. That was based off an old study done years ago that suggested that there may be a link between creatine and hair loss. However, a recent study in 2025 completely dispelled that myth and found that it was only due to having a certain genetic compound within your genetic makeup called DMT that was related to hair loss and had no significant findings between the link between creatine and hair loss. Does creatine lead to dehydration and cramping? Typically no, again, because that link to water retention, there's very little evidence to suggest that happens. Is creatine harmful for children or adolescents? At the end of the day, no, that's probably because there's not enough scientific evidence linked to taking it as a child. Anecdotally, I've been taking it since I was 16 and have had no effects from that, other than getting jacked. Does creatine increase fat mass? Absolutely no chance. A calorie deficit is based off calories. The more calories you eat over the amount of exercise you take and your basal metabolic rate, then it would get stored as body fat. Is creatine beneficial for the older population? 100% yes. It helps with improving brain matter, reducing the effects of aging, muscle atrophy, and bone density issues that may occur as you get older, like osteoporosis and osteoarthritis, and therefore everybody should be taking it. I've even got my parents taking it and they've seen a massive improvement in their function and their strength within their gym sessions. Is creatine only useful for resistance exercises and power? No. You can use it for endurance sports as well. There's no direct link to helping improve performance in endurance sports, but it is linked to increasing the effects of high intensity exercise. So think of sprint finishes towards the end of running events and recovery. So ultimately allows you to recover faster between those bursts of intense exercise. Is creatine only effective for men? No. Women should be taking it as well. There is some new evidence to suggest that it actually helps and improves female performance even more in and out of the gym because typically women have a lower strength starting level compared to men. And then if you then load with creatine, you're actually going to see a higher percentage increase in strength and power versus men. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you will not look like a bodybuilder if you take creatine. And which sort of creatine should you take? Personally, for me, creatine monohydrate is the best form you can take. Easily digestible, cheap, has amazing benefits. Can you get digestive issues when you take creatine? Yes, you can if you're taking a very high dose and if you take it on an empty stomach or with very little water. Now, the reason this happens is that it creates a dehydrative effect inside your digestive tract because a process of osmosis occurs where the creatine actually draws water out of the gut and into the surrounding tissues, which ultimately leaves you feeling a little bit iffy down there. And so those are some common questions that get asked all the time. The mistakes that most men seem to be making when it comes to creatine is worried that they should not take it because it's going to bloat them out or it's going to lead to increase in water retention, which is going to impact the scales too much and get in their own head. At the end of the day, scale weight is just an objective measure of your progress, and you shouldn't link all of your performance and how you're progressing in your fat loss journey against it. And thinking you need to load the dosages. Personally, for me, 3 to 5 grams per day is a perfect amount for anybody to start taking. You can increase that if you're doing lots of high intensity interval training, or you play contact sport where there's likely to be some potential head-on-head damage. Some people don't even take it because they think it's a placebo, but there is so much evidence to suggest that it improves strength, 1RM power, sprint capacity, recovery, and brain health as well. I don't understand why anybody would think that it would not work. And so this is what creatine actually does so that you're fully understanding of the whole process. When you ingest creatine, it provides energy for the muscles by aiding the rapid regeneration of ATP, so adenosine triphosphate, which is the body's primary source of energy. So carbohydrates is the energy source, it's all broken down, and you finally get left with a compound called ATP. During intense or repetitive activities such as resistance training, jumping, sprints, you burn through this ATP faster. So once creatine is transported through the body and into the cells, it is combined with ATP. This reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme called creatine kinase. And what enzymes do is they break down compounds so they can be used by the body. This creates phosphocreatine, which is then used as a rapid mobilizable compound. And what this does is the phosphocreatine donates a phosphate to ADP, which is a broken down form of ATP, to recreate ATP. I know that seems like a lot, stay with me. This ATP molecule is then used in the sliding filament theory for muscle contractions to let go of the actin head from the myosin filament, leading to the muscles relaxing and able to contract again. By overloading the body's natural creatine sources to create phosphocreatine, this allows for more powerful and sustained muscle contractions over a longer period of time, leading to strength increasing, power increasing, and your body's ability to recover faster. That is all the information you need to fully understand about creatine, and hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, there is going to be another video linked around here somewhere that's going to run you through the top 5 supplements that all men should be taking if they want to drop body fat and build muscle mass. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment below on which exercise you want to see progress the most. Now you know that creatine is a great supplement to take. Catch you guys in the next one.